coming out wider on the track. 100 to go. Don't call me honey. Cricket's chirping, driving through. Stella Lady coming right down the outside with one last thrust. Cricket's chirping. Cricket's chirping on the rail just.
Welcome to Bet Doctor, behind the look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. It's vacay style. Donnie and I are in the white shorts. We're playing away, but hopefully we can find you a couple of winners. Donnie, where in the world are you?
Scooty, thanks for having us back again. Yeah, I'm down in Yamba, just at the parents' house. So there's been plenty of surfing, plenty of prawns, a few lobsters, lots of drinking, and not as much form as usual, but it looks like a nice card at Eagle Farm, so I'm happy to rip in again tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks absolutely crackerjack. We're joined by the Commander-in-Chief at MacBet. He's on the tools still. John McLeod's back on the 2-week break. They just like to race fresh down there at MacBet. If you're just joining us for the first time for the Queensland Summer Series, and then we've got GK, who might be nursing a little bit of a 2-day hangover. I think he might have got the chocolates for the line honours for Chrissy Day. How are you, GK? You got a pulse?
Yeah, I was functioning at 2% yesterday. I'm back up around 25%. So the brain hasn't completely repowered itself, but it's enough to watch replays.
Yeah, thank God they got the fields in early and they got the markets up super early, so you can do a little bit of sneaky form for the weekend pre-Christmas. So it was very generous of the PRAs and the bookies to get it up and at 'em early to give our punters a good head start and a look at it. Let's have a quick look in the review mirror. Turbo, wow, he probably got the gong last week with Cricket's chirping. It was off the map. 60s, 40s, I think when he tipped it on the show, it was sort of 20s into $11, and it won like good thing at the Gold Coast under the lights. I'd probably give him best on ground, but you were at the track, Donnie. What was the vibe like at Gold Coast first night meeting?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a really good experience. It was busy. I think there was about 8,000 to 10,000 people there, but it wasn't overcrowded. You could still move around quite well, and there was no lineup to get beers. And apparently they put on a couple of nice shows with drones and singers. But I was too busy in the betting ring, so I didn't really see any of that nonsense. But it was a good night. The track raced beautifully. I mean, there was an on-pace advantage in some races, especially the sprints, and it was even for the rest of the cards. So it was a cracking night, and can't wait for next year already.
Yeah, it's going to be a big couple of weeks with the Wave meeting next Saturday, and then in 2 weeks' time we'll get the Magic Millions 2-year-old, so the big feature there. So that's when the TopSport 110% markets will come back. And Eagle Farm was a cracker last week. Speaking of the 2-year-old, it was a feel for you. I Carry Dream, the Sydney form. Wow, it was an arrogant win, GK.
Yeah, it was a good win. I just think we've just seen that there's not much really in terms of depth to those 2-year-old races right now. And look, I thought it was going to improve going to 1,200, and it did that, and it put that field away.
Yeah, Donnie had the 10-unit play on Physique, so that was handy for him. I was a little bit filthy, and I might have had a couple of beers, so I just tweeted or retweeted that He-Man not getting vetted was not to my satisfaction, but that was an absolute stinker. 11 into 460, bounds in the air, and it's just not good enough. I would have thought that an inspection was required because he went way below expectation. So maybe he's a slight forgive. It just went too bad to be true. But interesting couple of results yesterday at Sunshine Coast. Untouchable Legend was one I threw out last Friday. Got scratched and it won yesterday. I was a bit drunk on the beers and the prawns as well. So I've missed that one. And off-air chat, maybe John McLeod missed Liberty Steps, who he actually also threw out at big odds. So pays to listen, and as they say in the wire, listen carefully. So plenty to follow and plenty of action. But let's get into this week's Eagle Farm only edition. So we're going to play pretty straight here. We're going to do races 3 and 5, and then we're going to do the quaddie legs as well. TopSport Steam last week, Physique was the only bet they landed, 2,000 at 210. And the first race we're going to have a look at here is Eagle Farm Race 3. So favourite here is Bo Dazzle. It's $2.50. It's coming through the Grand Prix when it's got 60 kilos. You got Sun Worshipper out of the same race, $4.40. You got Madonna Lexus, $5. You got Mazis, $5. And you got Metcalf, $11. And you're getting much better the rest. The first race we're going to have a look at here is the Grand Prix, and it's Bo Dazzle's win. And the big asterisk around this form for mine is the heavy 10. So GK, you think it's going to be a dry deck, and how do you expect Eagle Farm to play? Because this was a good win from Bo Dazzler, and he beat up the first couple in the market here, but the heavy tend to probably a good 4 on a sunny deck could be a different position.
Yeah, it could be. Look, with rail going out sort of 6.5 meters, you think that's going to play fairer than what we've seen. Like you're getting out to the range in terms of the lanes where, they can just stay along the inside. They don't have to like spread out to the middle. So look, I'm expecting fairer conditions, but it is going to be a firm track. So a lot of that soft track form, we could see some pretty significant reversals in how things have gone. This is an interesting race. I found it personally tricky. Like I've got Bo Dazzler on top, but probably not as firm as some others.
He's got some pretty strong form references through the Phoenix and the JJ Atkins with, a 6-length defeat to broadsiding, sort of looking okay form. Donnie backed this horse last time, Mazis, and might have given it a bit of a barrier trial here. You can see it in the maroon and white buried on the fence. There was little to no intent, I thought, in the worst part of the track, but there was $8 bet early. It's got your paws all over it, that market fluctuation, but do you think it can improve out to 2,100?
Yeah, I think it's certainly going to improve from this start. If you take it back to the start, you'd notice it missed the start. It kind of knuckled just after the barriers open, and that kind of got rid of its any intention to roll forward. And then throughout the race, it was stuck along the inside on the rail, then didn't get to anywhere near the best part of the track in the straight. Those inside lanes were pretty much cactus on that day. So I'm expecting it stepping up in distance at its 3rd career start, even though it hasn't done much in its career to date. It was unlucky on debut, wrong part of the track last start. So I'm just thinking there's a bit more intention from the wide gate and they can roll forward, which is a bit of a stretch perhaps. But if they show any intention, they should be able to be up on speed. And I think it's definitely going to be strong late. We saw the favourite. It's the one to beat. But I think I'm going to back Maziz each way and just have a small play early in the day.
The 8 kilo difference between it and the top weight piques my interest for sure, and the fact that it's going to be bone dry ground, it's just a different beast out to 2,100 for some of these horses. So I like the angle. I think there's only 2 angles to play, either with the favourite, and then I think this horse is still on the up, and the difference between some of that maiden form to the form around the edges in these staying races, it's not too big a stretch, but John McLeod, you're going to come off the top rope here and you're going to stand to favour a living, breathing, aren't you?
I just think he's a good thing, and I'm sort of against you guys as far as the track goes. I don't think there's going to be that big a difference as far as this heavy track to a good track at Eagle Farm. Definitely Doomben heavy tracks. It's frightening going from heavy to good, but the track's been playing softish on the top and hard on the bottom. So it's really been more kicked back than anything, not really the wet. And it's more bias and that. So the bias with Maziz is terrible. It was in the wrong position at the other day. But I just like the turn of foot of Bo Dazzler against the other 2, Sun Worshipper and Madam Lexus. And he's going to race a lot closer, and he could be able to just pinch a break even with the big weight. I just think, we haven't seen probably the bottom of this horse really. And as I said, I wouldn't be that concerned about backing heavy track runs at Eagle Farm back to this dry, especially like we've had the track around 6s and 7s at times when it's been out at 9s. So it hasn't been as wet as what they've been saying. On occasions, there was one day that pissed down there. One day it was that, but it was still. It wasn't bottomless. So that's how I'm playing it.
Yeah, and I know GK's often had the track racing a little bit faster than advertised as well. So there is a fair bit of weight to what you're saying there. All right, so we're going to keep it simple. Team play, Bo Dazzler, and then Maziz as the danger to sum up. But Eagle Farm Race 5 is the next one we're going to have a look at here. And this race has been... it's been smashed with some key scratchings, but it's the Dorian Bird benchmark 78 handicap over 1,200 metres. Metal Art is the favourite, $2.60. Bohemian Lab $3.50. Blue Spinel $9. Typhoon and Tavi $12. Made to Fit $16. And you got He's Heaven $16. Lost in Trans at $18. The replay we're going to have a look at here is Bohemian Lad, and wow, you can see how bleak the conditions are there, and Find Your Own just sort of made all in front with Callow, and after a pretty hot trial, was super, but wow, Bohemian Lad just zooms down the outside, and you think that form will hold up, John McLeod?
Yeah, I think that's the key to it. I think his trial before it was a lot better than what I expected from him. We backed him a couple of times last prep, and he's just solid horse, just going well. But the trial looked like he'd come back better, and he raced better. And there's some damn good speed in this race. They're going to go pretty quickly, and he's one of the horses that are going to be sort of the midfield back spot, coming a little bit wider. I agree with GK with the rail out a little bit. It's not going to be as bad, It's going to be harder for him to come right out wide and get over the top of them. But I just think the speed's going to really help here. Metal Art, 1200's perfect, 1350's too far. But he's on the inside, so it's going to have to try to get away from the inside. Emerald, not for mine. I'd rather be on Bohemian Lad, just coming, at the right time.
Yeah, I had a good look at this race pre and post scratchings, and I was trying really hard to come up with an angle away from Bohemian Lad. Blue Spinel was one that I thought would improve, but sticky gate. And what happens with it on the map? Does she push the button, Ange Jones? GK, what's your leading?
Look, I'm definitely in the Bohemian Lad corner. I loved the trial, and that's what got me keen last time. And I just thought Stuart was too negative like that last time. Like, he could have sat 2 pairs closer and he wins the race. Just talking straight out of my wallet there. But look, I think it's a really good setup here. Like, it's just draws middle, sits off them, and then just explodes late. Yeah, look, I think Metal Art is too short. There are definitely dangers in this race. Blue Spinel, they're going to go back and they're just going to try to go with one run. So they'll probably be sitting somewhere around Bohemian Lad. I do think Typhoon Tavi is going to be a massive improver here. I'm not dropping off this one yet. It has ability. I think it will probably go better than what the market's expecting. But yeah, definitely in the Bohemian Lad corner.
Johnny?
Yeah, ditto. It's been a good campaign to bet against Metal Up this prep, so I'll be sticking with Bohemian.
Yeah, bookies for him for sure. Let's have a look at the quaddie legs, and the first one is an absolute corker. It's race 7. It's the Magic Millions of Rogue Plate. Raikkonen comes up from Sydney. Bjorn is absolutely airborne. $3.90 favourite. Bozzosto, $4.60. Catoggio, $5. Zoo Baby, $6.50. Guinea Space, $11. Street Chase, $13. Break Free, undefeated at $14. And you got Super Allo, $21. Hella Fast, $21. Mr. Bianco at the same quote, and Bollinger Miss, Boomtown Boss, and much better the Rips. This is a absolute cracking race, one of the best editions we've seen. And the replay we're going to have a look at here, Johnny McLeod, is Bozzosto and Catoggio, and this is the Flemington Carnival form.
Yeah, Catoggio's in front, and the other one's sort of just trying to get a run in between runners and sort of bouncing off other horses. And they sprinted home in this race, so it was very hard to pick up and go. And Catoggio's has just had the dream run in front, and this horse is chased. And so I really think there's 6 kilos difference from that run to this one. So, Catoggio can't beat Bozzosto. Bozzosto's coming out of that time, and sectionals of that race was up to Group 3 standard sort of thing down there. There was a couple of other races down there that it really measured up with. And these horses here, even though they're nice horses, but they're all what are they? Class 2, Class 3 horses that could get to open class for sure and certain. But whether they're there yet, like horses we've been on Give Me Space, is it just coming to the end of its tether? I don't know. Super Allo won on a wet track the other day. Can't see Catoggio turning or beating Bozzosto again. Raikkonen, he's going to have to work from the gate. It did improve the other day, but Zoo Baby's drawn inside of it, probably hold it out, and Catoggio's going to be there. So they're going to be going pretty quickly, and I think this horse is going to be the strongest one up the bench.
Donnie, what do you think about this Sydney form, Raikkonen?
I think Raikkonen's a chance. It definitely improved last start, but it's won 2 races. Its last 2 starts, and they've been on pretty heavy Sydney biases, so it's been up the front and leader's advantage on both occasions. So happily to bet against it here, and I was definitely looking to the Melbourne race as well, like John was. I thought Bustow was the one to go with, but it's a race I'm not extremely keen to play with. But I would say I'm avoiding the Queenslanders in this race.
I thought Hella Fast was better than I expected. First up, I thought it was the knockout hope of the Queenslanders. But GK, final say?
Look, I'm 100% in the Basasto corner. I've bet early. I think it should be the favourite in this race, and I have it clearly favourite. The others just had massive question marks over them in terms of the Southerners, and I'm not convinced that the Queensland form is all that crash hot.
Looking at my punting form database, I could see this horse getting crunched into sort of $3. I think it might just go completely to one-way Basasto. So if you like it, this might be one of the horses that you want to pull the trigger early and get your money down, because it does look like it's going to be one-way traffic, and the boys have already referenced the bad luck it's had in its previous start. So maybe a simple way to play and maybe get a little bit aggressive on the first leg of the quaddie at Eagle Farm on Saturday. Let's have a look at race 2 of the quaddie legs. It's race 8, and this is a corker as well. It's the Magic Millions buffering over 1,400 metres. Sofrado is the favourite here, which is interesting. Yeah, $5. You got Rothfire $5.50. Mullane as being the market mover, which is a bit confusing for me. 8 into $5.50. You got Transatlantic $5.50. Robusto $7.50. Tamerlane $7.50. Contemporary $9. Straight Ace at $15. Zoology is $19, and you get much better the rest. GK, you like Tamerlane, and you're referencing a run 2 starts ago.
Yeah, so last start it was Lane, which was a complete forgive. But you go back to this race here, you can see who we're against here. It's Another Wheel, Gemini Star, and Stapati, and just finishes just off those. Ideally for this thing, it wants to lead and control, dry tracks 1,400. We just get all of that here. So it's just going to kick up from the inside, and I presume it's just going to lead with Rothfire outside it. It's going to get to control the race. And I think it was still is a ridiculous price when you look through the depth of its form line. So, look, with the exception of Rothfire, I cannot find the locals in this race. I think Rothfire was huge last start, but the Southern form, I think, probably is stronger than what we get from the locals here.
I really like this from Rothfire. He just worked all race, and when you see his last sort of 100 metres, I think he's sort of really holding and even coming back at these. So it was just the perfect setup, and he was just a sitting duck there, but he really should be peaking here, third up 1,400. So I'd agree with those sort of sentiments. But Robusto, I think it's a massive price here. Its form is just absolutely super.
Yeah.
The run in the Ingham surprised a lot, and I think everyone had just had that question mark over Robusto at the 1,600 metres. But it was a typical Tim Clark ride, and he just shook him up, and he just kept finding and fighting, holding off horses like Stapati and NCAP and Private Eye, and turned the tables on those horses. Going back, I was sort of kicking myself because he's running the Festival Stakes was absolutely huge. So Josh Parr knows this horse is fully fit here, and he can just use him. And he's going to be strong late. If there's anything left of the horse, I can see it being backed as well. I think the market's sort of a little bit upside down. I know he's got 59 kilos, but the form references are just huge. The Ladies' Day Cup run was good. The Five Diamonds Prelude, I know a Star, Territory Express, Freedom Relay, Yellow Brick. What price is Territory Express or I know a Star in this sort of lineup? I can see why they took sort of 10, 11 or the 950 early on. And it's just a race that's really sticky and a race that I wouldn't really be chips in any type of horse. And I'd probably go a little bit wide on the quaddie. A horse like Straight Ace is absolutely flying as well, I think, but he's just looking for a drier deck. I thought his run last start was full of merit, and he's just a bit of a Goldilocks horse. He just needs 1,400 and he just needs it dry, and $15 is another one that I'd have to consider and put in my quaddie for sure. But I haven't even mentioned Contemporary, and it's got pretty decent credentials for a race like this. Donnie, are you interested to hear or too many chances?
There's a lot of chances, but none of them are Queenslanders, so I couldn't back Sofrado, Rothfire, Transatlantic, or Milano. I think they're great to bet around, and that only leaves me with a couple that you guys have mentioned. So, Tamerlane, Robusto, you've made really good cases for, and they're the ones I'd probably end up backing.
Do you want to play it?
I don't know what to say here. I think that on map, there's only 3 possibles, and that's Rothfire, Tamerlane, and Transatlantic. They're going to control the race. I think Rothfire 1400, even though it's run second in a Stradbroke, I think it's a little bit suspect, and it was out in that clear air the other day. Then you've got Tamerlane, who I think has been a little bit disappointing in the way that he hasn't been hitting the line, especially in the trial the other day. I thought it was a little bit disappointing, but those two only at the right runs. And Transatlantic, I'm not a Transatlantic fan, but I can see him getting the perfect run. He can run a sectional, and he likes Eagle Farm, and he's going to be hard. He's hard fit. So I'm tipping Transatlantic, which I never thought I would in a race like this.
He was super last week. I loved it. They just put a space on him and sort of juked it out. And yeah, he actually surprised me. I didn't think that tenacity was there, but he really enjoyed the dogfight. All right, so that's a pretty good way to play the quaddie. So you can put a line through a couple of the Queenslanders high in the market, and it's interesting. Sofrado just got the perfect setup last time, so I agree with that one. And Mullane just looks another falsely bet horse there. Now he's so far up in class. So I'd say Rothfire, Transatlantic, Robusto, Tamerlane, and Straight Ace could be the 10 quaddie legs there. Let's have a look at race 9. This is a race where I thought the market was upside down when they first put it up, but Kachaka's $4.20 favourite. You got Belvedere Boy $4.40, Queen Air $5.50, Red Top $8.50, Little Mix $9. You got Red Wave $9.50, Nick House Spur $11, Felix the Scat 20 into 12, and then you got Zoom On, probably shaping up for the Grafton Cup or something along the Northern Rivers there at $19, and you got June 45 and Regal Line at $31 also. Felix the Scat is the horse that you like, Donnie, and the market's all over at 20 into $12. And this is the day that Lock Eagle won. I just wanted to show the replay one more time, but Felix the Scat, we were both scratching our heads and talking off air that we were just shocked and surprised that they didn't pull it out. But to me, that tells me that the horse just needed the run and he's probably doing too well. That's the only reason a trainer would run a horse on such an unsuitable track. So this is a total forgive. And there was the other Felix the Scat win that you tipped, but I think you've played that replay about 10 times. So I was sort of knocking out referencing that form line, but he's a horse at this trip. It can be a real menace at 53 kilos, and no doubt you've taken the early price on him.
Yeah, I've had a small each way bet or as big as each way bet as they'll allow, but I think it's a decent chance at the value price, only because it's had 2 wet track runs and it just doesn't go a yard in the wet. And like you said, you're kind of thinking last start, why are they scratching their head? But this is the target race they needed it to have the run for. So they kind of knew last start they had to run it because it wouldn't be fit enough for this run. Now we get out to 2,100 metres. I think it's a qualifier for a race of Magic Millions Day. So that's what all these good horses are here for. It's got a lightweight. KWT takes a ride, and it's got enough speed to roll forward here. So I'm hoping and praying I see it in the first 4 or the first 3 pairs and just smoking its pipe and waiting. There's a couple of good chances in the race. Like we said, I can't find Belvedere Boys on a dry track. I think it's a wet tracker, even though it raced really well last start. The other one, Queen Air, was the one that the team was pretty keen on last start as well. It ran some slick late sectionals, but he's going to be back near the rear. So I'm just hoping my horse, Felix the Scat, is just sitting and just stalking and is going to run a really good race at a nice price.
Thoughts, Kerchak? I thought he could himself pretty well with 60 kilos in Sydney.
Yep, that's the other horse I would be having something on. So I'll be making Felix a big result, and I'm definitely making the one you just mentioned, Kerchak, a decent result as well. I think the way to do it is bet around Belvedere Boys.
Yeah, I thought the 2 legs in the market were definitely Belvedere Boys and Queen Air. I'm surprised that the Golden Camp is aimed up so highly here, GK. There was another race on the card for it, and a bit like Katoji, I think both of those horses should have gone for the other races instead of going so high.
Well, especially because I backed them both early in those other races. So, yeah, look, I think Queen Air's still I think it's competitive here. Like the manner of the performance of all of the starts this campaign for Golden have been fantastic. The win was, it was a tremendous win. Like it was a huge win. I think it was best last 400 of the day. I think Queen Air can measure up here, and I think dry track is actually more the go. Felix the Scat, look, one of the corporates went up 50s, so I had to sort of get involved at that price. Yeah, and I think Heatchote is, it's been one that I've been against pretty much the whole campaign, but I've kind of relented now and realised that it's going really well. And the Sydney run in particular really impressed me. I was like, nah, it's got none in Sydney, but like I thought that was a really encouraging run. Again, it's just where it's at, this preparation.
I'm not sure what to make of Queen Air, but what were your thoughts on this race, Johnny McLeod?
Queen is a horse that I've hung my hat on with this track as far as heavy tracks and back to dry. In that Queen Air is not really a wet track type, and he still was able to get the job done, or she was. And if it drew a gainer, I'd be all over it. I just don't know where it's going to get. I think it's just wait and see how the track's playing and what it's doing. But it's the one that's could go to another level, whereas these ones are, they're being running around, just following each other more or less. So I think it's the one, but I'm just very scared of the gate.
Yeah, the only other horse that I'd probably throw out for quaddy numbers and just mental health is Regal Lion. Annabelle's just got this knack of these potsy stayers, and it just looks ideally placed at 52.5 and can sort of make a couple of forgive cases for its last two, form around sort of Townsend, Cafe Millennium, Kintyre and Robert. I think that's at $31. I just don't want to risk that horse at that price. So I've had a little bit of a bet on Felix the Scat early, and then Regal Line as well. But market definitely telling me that Felix the Scat was the error. So a good one that we might go a little bit wider as well. But nothing would surprise me in that race at all. Race 10 is the last race we're going to have a look at to round out the quaddie, and it's Saltaire's a favourite here at $5.50 in from 7. Steady Ready $6. Tiger Shark 7. Tectonic Plate $7. Battlefield 7. Economics $7, and then you got Rishon at 10. Queen Assassin 10, and you got Goldsboro at $13, and Shani Sniper at 21. There's two horses that sort of piqued my interest in a pretty even race. I wanted to sort of take on Saltaire. Don't really like the setup, although I think it's a better 1,000-metre horse. And I just like style on the winner, this horse, Battlefield. It was sort of pulled right out the back and sort of slowly away. And I think that's our Magnus that's in front. You got End Assembly on the inside, but it's still only lightly raced, this horse. And I don't think he handled the heavy surface quite that well. It was sort of like a car trying to go around the corner, and he sort of changed legs a bit there, 200 metres out. But there's something there with this horse, and maybe it's a pipe opener, and they might just give it a quiet run looking for the Gold Coast in a couple of weeks' time. But wow, some of the splits he can reel off late. This horse has got a genuine engine. I just like the style of him. But yeah, from barrier 9, I'm a little bit worried. And the other horse that I just thought Battlefield and Tectonic Plate should have been shorter in the market. I thought they've got the most sort of upside here. And this Daniel Bowen mare was impressive this day. And the last sort of 50 or 100 metres, I think she's second widest. Just sort of have a bit of a bumping duel with Mashani Sniper here, but looked like she was absolutely going to bolt in at this stage, and then just peaked on a run and wasn't able to hold off Lost in Transit. I think the horse is there, but I think she's probably the big improver, and 1,000 metres is perfect. But again, another one that's barrier 2 could be in a real sticky position there. So I think they're the best two horses in the race, and the ones that you want to sort of take forward, and they're the ones that I'll be playing. And I think I've sort of got a more Tectonic Plate around the $4 chance and $5 Battlefield. And there's a fair few other horses that I just didn't like the setups of. And they just seem to have found their mark where they're sitting in there with 56 and 57 kilos and should be really, really strong late. Did you have a look at this one, GK?
Yeah, look, I have a Tectonic Plate and Steady Ready as the favourites on my market. Like, Steady Ready is just a proper 1,000-metre horse. And like, there's ridiculous tempo in this race, and when it won the Lightning in the winter, like, it just controlled it, and like, they didn't go quick at all. But despite all of that, like, it's just going to go forward. It's a proper 1,000-metre horse. I think you have to have it, somewhere close to the top of the market. Tiger Shark, I'm against. This is the wrong race for Tiger Shark. Saltaire, I'm a little bit on the fence with. I think Tectonic Plate's run was great. I love Battlefield. Like, I'm, number one fan. I just don't know about 1,000 meters. Like, this is what we saw last time, where there was no trial or jump out, and it was pretty soft late, and it just seemed like a pipe opener for something second and third up. So I'm slightly against Battlefield just with the setup, and yeah, look, Steady Ready, Tectonic Plate, equal favourites in my market.
Donny, 1,000 meter scamper, your wheelhouse?
Yeah, not overly keen to play. I thought Tiger Shark was a good chance here, driving back in class from a listed race where it led, gets Bailey's claim, which helps. The issue is whether it finds the top or not. There's some speed, like GK reference, inside of it, so it might struggle to get across early. But if I had a bet, it's definitely, I'm in the Tiger Shark camp.
Jordan McLeod?
I keen. Tectonic Plate. If I hadn't seen it in the yard the other day, I'd be tipping it. But he was very, very fit. And so there's no real improvement from my what I can see, but I've still got a favourite. A lot of speed, what the boys are saying. I think Battlefield will be Magic Millions time, not this one. Tiger Shark, not for mine. Reliable Ruby blowout with the blinkers on.
CJ going for the month's yard at $21. All right, so that's all for quaddy legs confirmed. And TopSport big bets. Let's see if anyone wants a piece of these. Eagle Farm Race 1, number 7, Boom Shot, $500 to $4.20. This is one of yours, John McLeod. Not your bet, but this is a horse that you kicked up for a couple of shows ago.
And I was surprised at how well it just kept coming to the line, because it was a little bit of a doubt at the distance the other day, and it just kept coming. But again, there's another one that, more of a dry tracker, racing on a heavy track, that it's gone okay. So, it is going good, the horse.
Okay. Race 5, number 19 is Bohemian Lad, so 1,000 at $3.70 there. So popular team bet, so no surprise to see it run really, really well. A bit of a forgotten horse here. I think it was scratched last time from the heavy track. So I don't know if the horse might have got away, but didn't repeat it here. But it's race 6, number 2. It's Abounding, $400 at $9.50.
Isn't his horses going good? They're just flying, absolutely flying. And you're not frightened to back them, that's for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not sure where Martin Harley's going to get to from 18, and maybe they just give it a quiet one, but I guess betting late will tell the story there. The last one could be Donny's Eagle Farm Race 9, number 10, Fiddlix at Scout, $150 at $20. So definitely keen on this one, and hopefully it can bounce back hard on the good track. All right, that's a nice, short, sharp holiday show, and looking forward to getting back into the studio, back into saddle for Wave Day, and I think we'll be all a bit fresher for the run, but it's an absolute cracking card at Eagle Farm on Saturday. So boys have done the work, and pretty excited to see how the track races and plays, but should be betting with lots of confidence. And Racing Twins will be absolutely chuffed with the quality and the depth of the races. So we'll be betting our brains out. If you want more GK stuff, make sure you head to his Twitter page, Brizzy Form Guide, and you can jump into his service and his Discord channel. Likewise with the MacBet tips and a little bit of syndicates, just sticking over with a couple of cheeky winners here and there. So we're keeping our noses in front as well. But big thanks for the boys for getting away from the beers and the ham and the turkey and all that sort of stuff and the prawns. So get back to your families and enjoy the day, and hopefully you get through a deeper look at the form, and we'll see you next week for another big show.
Off to Breaky.
It's good. Thank you, mate.
Too good. All right, big thanks to TopSport Punting Form and Racing Queensland, and look forward to seeing you next week for Wave Day. See you guys.